bounds.
I pretty much just point out the things that I see. I will tell you a little bit about what it is that I'm doing, the decisions that I'm making, and some of the reasons why. But let me go ahead and jump into something else because I think it's just as important to talk about what's going on outside the precious metals markets and how to safeguard yourself in a time of economic crisis, martial law, a complete breakdown of society. Now, it might not be pleasant to think about it, but the figures that I'm going to represent paint a sad but accurate picture that America is not the country it was 40 years ago. Our economy, our politics, and even our culture have become dramatically warped. I can't possibly analyze all the factors that have led to this decline, but I can document the core reasons we're in the situation and prevent in the prevailing symptoms that ail our country, our economy, and our people. We've reached a point where we must fix the lies at the heart of America's decline. What lies at the heart of America's decline? Our political leaders, our business leaders, our cultural leaders have made a series of catastrophic choices. We cannot rely on them to fix what's been broken. The damage can only be repaired by ordinary people who understand the problem and are willing to demand a solution. With this knowledge in hand, I hope that we can help to educate our families, our neighbors, and our leaders, but we must encourage them to throw off the blinders of apathy and look at what is really happening in our country. We need to make choices that will put us back into the right path. The decline of our country is primarily a decline of culture. We've lost our sense of honor, humility, and the dedication to personal responsibility that for more than 200 years made our country the greatest hope for mankind. We've become a country of people who believe their well-being is someone else's responsibility, sense of entitlement. These problems manifest in different ways across the institution in all parts of our society. But at the front door, they are the facet of most of the same stone. They're all part of the same essential problem. The corruption of America isn't happening in one part of our country or in one type of institution. It's happening across the landscape of our society. In almost every institution, it's a kind of moral decay, a kind of greed, and a kind of desperate gasp for power, and it's really destroying every facet of our existence here in the U.S. Now, the corruption of politics is one that I'll start with as one of the biggest factors in the decline of our civilization. The politics of entitlement. It's routinely alleged in national political debates that something is fundamentally unfair and un-American about the huge wealth gap between the poorest and the wealthiest Americans. Some politicians like to argue that the poor never have a real shot at the American dream. So as a nation, we owe them more, and more of our resources are used to correct this injustice. Most important, they claim only the government has the resources to correct this inequality. These are dangerous notions, though. They promote a sense of entitlement. The American idea of entitlement agrees that because you were born into a rich society, other people owe you something. This just simply shouldn't be and isn't. It's a personal responsibility that one needs to take. As I always say, dig out thine own salvation with fear and trembling of the Lord. Now, I'm not a religious guy at all. I'm anti-religion, and I'm really not into politics. I remain in honor at all costs, and I don't take parts of public controversy. Now, as far as what we're talking about in the political arena, I don't really want to get into that because I don't really concern myself too much with who is going to become president of a de facto, company government. They're not the president of a nation, and that's just a plain simple fact. It's sad but true. So I don't really concern myself with who's going to become president. More what I'm interested in is understanding and taking a position in the legislation that affects me locally, those that I care about, that affects us in a very localized market. And these are the things that would be easier for you to hold your elected officials, your public servants, to hold them liable and responsible for the decisions that they're making that affect us all. But this is a responsibility every single one of us need to take on our own. Okay, so